All right, guys. I'm here to talk about Warrior, which I talked about in my top 10 films of the year. I think it came in at number 6, and I almost kind of regret that because I kind of want to switch it with Attack the Block, which got number 4. Attack the Block's very fun, but I've watched Warrior a couple times now and absolutely fucking love the movie. I'll probably be saying a lot of things I said in my top 10 films of the year, but if you haven't seen it, whatever. I think this movie, it deserves its due. It didn't do very well in the box office, which is kind of weird to me because it's a underdog fight film, and those movies usually do good. They usually do well in box office, and usually people seem to really love them. Warrior is like it's very slow to catch on. It's not like The Fighter from last year where everyone's like, "Oh, it's the best movie." Maybe they should have released Warrior in December, and everyone would be like, "Oh, it's the best movie." Because honestly, it's way better film than The Fighter. I know my co-host on Movie Dudes disagrees. He thinks it's better performances in The Fighter and blah blah blah. But here's what my co-host on Movie Dudes said, and he gave it 4 out of 5 stars, so he liked it. But he said it's very generic. It follows all the same tropes that these movies do, and there's a few problems with it, and he wasn't as invested in the characters and stuff as me. That's all fine, but that's how I felt about The Fighter. I was like, this is generic as fuck. It does the same thing as all these fucking fighting movies, except the fighting's not that very exciting in it. It's mostly the drama, and the drama was just okay. I think that's how he kind of feels about Warrior, but uh, I couldn't disagree more. I think Warrior is more fun than The Fighter, and it works better as a fight film. And the fights are brilliant, a billion times better than The Fighter. The Fighter wasn't about the fights; it was about the drama. The great thing about Warrior is it has the great family drama at its center, and it has an hour of awesome fights at the end. Um, it's about two estranged brothers. They haven't seen each other in like 15 years, who both enter the same mixed martial arts tournament in Atlantic City, and they enter for slightly different reasons, and it progresses from there. And the family drama is like their dad is this total drunk asshole who like drove them apart, drove the family apart, and drove both of them away from him. He's played by Nick Nolte, and when we meet him, he's a recovering alcoholic. He hasn't had a drink in 1,000 days. The one son left with his mom when he was a teenager, and he was played by Tom Hardy, and his name was Tommy in the film. Guess that makes sense. And then the older brother is played by Joel Edgerton, and his name was Brendan, and he actually stayed with his dad, but he doesn't like his dad either. Neither of them like their dad. Um, and you can kind of see where it's going with that setup, right? And just to go a little bit into the plot, I don't want to give it away because you could kind of see where it's going, and half the fun is just watching it. And the trailer gives away like the whole fucking thing. But like early scene, um, the dad Nick Nolte is coming home from one of his meetings, and Tommy's sitting there on the porch waiting for him. He hasn't seen his kid in 15 years or whatever. And he tries to make up with his son, and his son just like, I liked you more when you were drunk. Fuck you. He just came there to tell him to go fuck himself. And that's kind of like hard edge to the drama this has. It's a PG-13 film, but it's pretty gritty and pretty heavy dramatically. Sequences of intense mixed martial arts fighting, some language, and thematic material. Yeah, the thematic stuff, I think, it goes pretty hard for a PG-13 film. Um, and basically, why do I like this film so much? I cared about everyone in it. I cared about, and that's the problem. I think that Chris, my co-host, is just like, I don't really care. I cared about Nick Nolte as the dad. You feel so bad for him because both his sons hate him so much, and you just know him as like this nice old washed up drunk. You always have to keep in the back of your mind that he did something terrible to them when they were kids. He must have been the king of all pricks. But you don't get to see that. You just get to see him how he is now, and he just wants to make things right with his kids. And they're like, "Nah, I don't want nothing to do with you." I will spoil one thing and say that one of them takes him on as a trainer. But even then, he's like, "The only thing you're gonna do is train me. I don't want fucking shit else to do with you." Joel Edgerton he's very good as a physics teacher, high school physics teacher who he moonlights doing like these really small time MMA fights just to make money to pay for his mortgage and his kids. His one daughter had heart surgery or transplant, and he's falling behind on his mortgage, and he needs money, and unfortunately for him, the school finds out about him doing these fights on the side and gets him in trouble. I don't know why. I guess they look at it as it's barbaric or something. I don't know. And Tom Hardy, the other brother, they're all very good in it. I thought. I think my co-host Chris was just like Tom Hardy was probably the weakest link. He's very silent. He doesn't say much. You don't know much about him, but I didn't think that at all. He's just this very bitter guy filled with a lot of anger, and I got his character. I didn't think he was like a mystery. Um, and it kind of just propels down this path, and it goes to the obvious place you think it's going to go, but I'm not going to say it just because I feel like the trailer didn't have to say it and it did. But I don't think generic at all. I think a very good family drama driven by very good performances, especially Nick Nolte. Uh, he just feels like a total natural as the dad, as like this recovering alcoholic, and it's just written all over his face. Um, I think I would like to see him win Best Supporting Actor. I don't know if he'll go to him, but I'd be surprised if he didn't get a nomination. This film, it got good reviews. Like the critics liked it. They're with me on this one. I'm with them. I'm even more over the top than them. I'm putting it in my top 10 list. I love Warrior, but they liked it and they all say, he gives a great performance. Um it's weird though because it kind of bombed at the box office for its budget and whatnot. And so I'm hoping it really picks up on DVD and Blu-ray, and that's why I'm talking about it again. Um, so it's a good family drama. It builds up. It's a long movie. It's 2 hours and 20 minutes, I think. But the coolest thing, it breaks away from your standard fight film in a couple ways. And one of them is it's MMA. It's mixed martial arts, and I'm not a fan of mixed martial arts, but I think it works better on film because boxing it's yeah, it's brutal, but it's more of a gentleman's sport. MMA is brutal. It's real fighting. It's these people picking each other, slamming each other down, breaking fucking limbs. Putting people in terrible positions and holding them. I don't know shit about it, but I fucking thought it works better on film. It's more entertaining. You get into it more. Um, and usually a lot of fight films, there's like a big fight at the end. Yeah, there's a big fight at the end here. There's also an hour of big fights at the end, and they're fucking awesome. And one thing that the other guy in movie dudes, he's like, well, there's no tension behind the fights. And I was like, yeah, there is. The tension builds throughout the fights. Like, in between one of the fights, there's a scene between Tom Hardy and Nick Nolte in a casino where he just totally tears his dad apart. There's another scene between them that's very emotional too. There's stuff happening between the fights. And there's just even one fight that happens is there's this guy Koba who's built up throughout the film as like this awesome fucking MMA fighter from wherever the fuck, some other country. Like he kills everybody, undefeated and whatnot. And he finally shows up, and like one of the brothers has to fight him, and you're like, oh shit, what's gonna happen here? Like I thought there was a lot going on, and by that point I was like, hook, line, and sinker. I was so bought into it. I was in love with the film and just having a blast with this last hour of fights. Um, and one thing I will mention too is watch this movie. If you have a good sound system, find someone that has a good sound system and blast the fuck out of it. The music and the fights and the sound effects are just great. I watched it again with my dad um, over Christmas. I brought it over, and he has got the Bose surround and this big old TV, and it was amazing to watch. Every time someone gets picked up and slammed down on the mat, it's like boom, the whole fucking house shook. It was amazing. And then in this last hour of fights, they pull out every trick in the book, every cliche or whatever, but it just works so well, and you're so into it. Like the crowd cheering them on, do this, this. You're like, at one point, my dad was like someone in the crowd is screaming, break it, like telling this guy to break the other guy's arm, and my dad's screaming, break it, which is a pretty high endorsement. My dad hates every fucking movie I bring for him to see. Like the last one I really remember him digging was The Hurt Locker, which was a Best Picture winner. So he's not easy to win over. He's not in the movies that much, and with this, he was fully invested. He was into it. Um, so besides an hour of extended fights and they pull out all tricks but it works, man. You care because it has good drama to it. And the MMA is more exciting to watch than boxing. I'm sorry. It's just a fact. It might not be true for the real sport. I don't care for the real sport of either. But for a film, I'd rather see two guys just beat the living fuck out of each other than them dance around the ring and like, keep your hands up, jab, wear him out. It's like that's not as fun as some dude running in, fucking pick a guy up, slamming him down, put him in a headlock or whatever the fuck you want to call it, and beating the fuck out of the other guy. Just beating the fuck. So those are the things I think about it that stand out. And then the great part is, at the end, you're not sure who to root for because there isn't just one main protagonist. There's two brothers that have entered in this tournament, and you're kind of behind both of them. Now, one is slightly more likable than the other, but they both have their strong points. Like, one guy's a war hero, one guy's a family man. You like them both. You root for them both. The protagonist is a broken family that you want to see to come together. Okay, so it makes it like, who the fuck is gonna win in the fight at the end? I hope I'm not spoiling too much there, but you care about both of them. So like, well, whatever happens with either one, no matter where they drop out or who fights or what, like, you care about what happens in the fight. And you don't know who to root for. You're rooting for both of them. But if both of them make it to the end, then who are you rooting for? So I thought this movie was great all the time. Gritty family drama, well acted, amazing series of fights at the end. Just an hour orgasm of fight stuff. Like, I have to disagree with my co-host here. It's not no tension it's not like an hour of just people beating the shit out of each other. There's tension in every fight. Um, and I think I could see what he's saying too. He's like, the trailer sucked a lot of it out of it for him. So if you haven't seen the trailer, avoid the trailer and just go rent the movie or buy the movie. If you ask me, get it on Blu-ray. But I don't know. There's a lot to like about this movie, dude. Very good fucking flick. It made my top 10 at number 6, but I wish I could move it around now to number 4. um, in the springtime next year, I'll be doing an amended list after I've seen all the films that have come out. And I'd love to see Warrior. I think Warrior will still be on there, but I'd love to see it go even higher, which I think it might. But anyways, thanks for watching, and go check out Warrior right fucking now.